Krajewski, Oskar? Yeah, there you go. I'll keep on trying. So, born in Lodz in Poland in 1979, living and working in London since 2002. Through drawing, painting and photography, Oskar arrived at his biggest passion to date, sculpting with rubbish. I love that. Found and reclaimed materials. He gives new life and shape to unwanted objects, dressing it with light and sound. He's a founder of an art platform called Recyclism. Sounds brilliant. Inviting like-minded people to collaborate and to show the recycled artworks. Recyclism is a very current theme and hot topic in the world right now, as we all know, obviously, especially after the Blue Planet effect and all the plastic crisis. Is an art platform to show the world how to transform our waste into beautiful and useful objects. This is not something new. Artists have been working with reclaimed materials for the past century. I would say probably, for really forever as well. But it has never been more relevant than now. Oskar's interest in art is human nature, sustainability and sci-fi. The latter being a unique style for conveying the message and intrigue the viewers. His latest project, which is coming soon, is about humanity venturing to colonize Mars. And some of his work is just there if you want to have a look as well later. So an applause to Oskar. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'll repeat some of what Laura just said. My name is Oskar Krajewski. I'm an artist sculpting with recycled materials. I'm originally from Poland, living and working in London since 2002. In 2010, I started a brand called Art of OK. I'm also a founder of Art Recyclism platform. I'm working with a small team who helped me implement technology into art installations. We work with light, sound, and lately with kinetics. Our work is to intrigue, warn, and inform about the future, which isn't looking too good for the next generation and perhaps for most of us. But I believe that art can play an important role in our survival. Let me show you how I express my thoughts through art. I first discovered the value of waste whilst working on my first sculpture. I produced significant amount of offcuts during the creation of Amalgamea. Some 30% of purchased expensive materials was going to go into the bin. That was when my inner hoarding voice spoke for the first time. I stored these offcuts, and before finishing Amalgamea, I started to plot my next project. Recycled Future took me and Tom, the electric engineer, some 3 years from start to finish. We were working on other projects in the meantime, since I can't focus on just one task. First, I cleared my flat from all dust collecting useful objects and asked my friends to do the same for me. I started, and I lost myself. I used offcuts from Amalgamea and some of the mentioned clutter to begin with this new project, which immediately took off and started to grow like mushroom. Recycled Future is made of around 25,000 pieces, such as components from watches, computer parts, unwanted toys, and almost all everyday use objects. I worked on each section so it resembles something from our urban surrounding, a roof, facade, or a pavement. Having spent so much time inside this intricate model, I found my brain had reversed the reality. Walking on the streets of London, I could see razor blades instead of window shutters, drinking straws for lamp posts, and giant shower gel bottles impersonating buildings. I had a flashback recently of a dream I had 20 years ago. In that dream, true story, in that dream I was inside a mining pit. The walls of that pit were almost entirely filled with plastic, metal and e-waste. People were excavating that as a vital resource. Presumably, in my dream, we had run out of natural resources at this point. Recycled Future is a dystopian vision of the metropolis made almost entirely from non-biodegradable waste. Perhaps that could be the only way to build in the post-apocalyptic world. Allow me to play you a short time-lapse showing the aesthetics of this complex project. Okay. Before coming to England, I had a solo show in Poland. I managed to sell a few pieces, thanks to which I had funds to travel to and survive my first weeks in London. One of the sold drawings was called The Garbage Collector. I have completely forgotten about this work, and 15 years later, coincidentally, made another garbage collector, this time with recycled materials. From there onwards, I developed a scavenger mind and eye, constantly picking up strange and shiny objects from the street and outside of our communal bins. I also started to find mobile phones and wallets, thanks to my new superpower. The more rubbish I salvaged, I assembled, the stronger I felt as an artist. I'd like to read you a short description for this piece. Garbage collector's life purpose is to fly around in pursuit of parts and fuel. Its favorite places are abandoned landfills and patches of plastic pollutants. His basic AI selects and fixes useful electronic parts, salvaged from computers and various e-waste. His fuel is plastic, digested inside the mycelium gut. His semi-organic electric engine spits no fumes, no toxic byproducts to the outside world. Garbage collector gets bigger every time he feasts, adding useful parts to his vulture crab body. When he becomes too heavy to fly, he gives birth to its next generation of scavenging cleaners. Thank you. My next piece is called Fable. This sculpture is made of obsolete motherboards and parts of machines which couldn't keep up with its maker, the human. Fable is a revived metaphor, a tale told over 2,000 years ago. The story gains its meaning once again with current pursuit for knowledge. Computers serve as a portal to that knowledge, and we are building denser and more tangled web. The more complex the weave, the closer we become to the understanding of ourselves, the world around us, and eventually everything stemming from this dimension. But can we sustain this growth for long enough before it collapses under its own weight? Will we ever find that one global language and be able to collaborate in harmony? With such questions in mind, I have another clip for you.
we have built and integrated into a superstructure around our planet. Yet it is an invisible web. A brain-like net has become our global language, an inescapable aspect of our lives. We are addicted to growth and consumption, accelerated by the speed of data. Humanity is intelligent and sentient, but it behaves like bacteria, dangerous to its host, depleting its resources for sheer pleasure and expedience. This artwork you can see here was made of scrap computers, broken hard drives, and general electronic waste. Machines which couldn't keep up with the growing pace of a human race. Can we sidestep our selfish human nature and collaborate to build steadfastly with humility towards a balanced and sustainable relationship with one another and our planetary home? Or will the gravity of greed and myopic vision pull us down, to bury us out of existence in a pile of rubbish we have amassed from our squander? Without one language and instant access to knowledge, we are at the precipice and have a distinct choice.
Thank you. I'd like to inspire and encourage any artist, but particularly young artists, to work with recycled materials. It is free, ubiquitous, and designed by international talents. We have had many chapters in art, usually brought by hard work, discoveries, and visionaries. Impressionism, surrealism, cubism, or conceptual art, to mention a few. I believe that art has now firmly entered the era of merger with technology and ecology. I feel that both of these elements brings new opportunities for self-expression. I foresee that the main flesh on that techno poem will be made of yesterday's waste, hopefully extracted from both our seas and land. I would love to see a new movement and momentum in the art history, recyclism. One role of an artist is to conceptualize. How about rounding up the vastness of floating plastic to create an artificial island, almost like an ark? An island which wouldn't sink under the rising sea levels, with a thick layer of soil vegetation and many animal species dwelling on that ark. That plastic vessel would sweep the oceans, cleaning it, repairing and enlarging itself. Maybe we should get in touch with the young visionary Boyan Slat, whose ocean cleanup project is already out there. I would love to have an answer or remedy to world's pollution. For now, I can only invite you to consume less and be cautious about blindly following latest trends and fashion. I would also like to challenge you to repair things and be content with what you already have. I see a big improvement in public consciousness manifesting itself online and in the physical world. Instead of water bucket challenge, we clean beaches, we refuse using plastic bags and replace them steadily with mycelium and starch products. Extinction Rebellion is another great example of a paradigm shift. They spread hope, positive energy, and share an important knowledge. We are changing the status quo, and I believe that visionary art will be soon praised higher than misleading politicians. I'm hardly breaking new grounds with my philosophy here. We have so much waste already and it's ugly. But does it have to be? My personal solution is to turn it into art. I'm still asking questions and looking for answers. Now, in these crucial and precious times, I believe it is the responsibility of all of us to challenge and inquire. Thank you very much for your time.
Great, thank you so much. I was very taken by it. You're such a great storyteller, not just putting together beautiful pieces of artwork, but also very deep narratives to go with it. My first immediate question, and then I'll give the word to the audience, is have you observed from these conversations that you seem to be establishing? So it's not just that you put the work out there and wait to provoke people. Actually, you seem to be starting a conversation with people. Did you know, I mean, this is very difficult to track, but have you made such a strong impression in someone through your artwork and your narratives that you know that has changed or challenged someone enough to change their behaviour?
Well, I hope so. And I can see young people, especially, they are drawn to the detail, and they love guessing. Oh, I see a fork, I see a watch, or whatever, CPU from the computer. So I think that makes them think, because now they can understand that these things, they are not just disappearing once they are in a bin, that they have to be somewhere. And with that narrative, just the storytelling, I'm trying to, with obviously like a sci-fi and a little bit, crazy way, but to tell them that we have to do something. So yes, answering your question, I think and I'm hoping that I did manage to convince few people to start to recycle or think twice about items before throwing them to the bin.
Brilliant, well, congratulations for that. And any questions from you guys?
Yeah, you mentioned about you reversed the reality. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Well, I reversed the reality in my brain. So, there was this experiment when they put on people glasses, and through these glasses you could see upside down. And once you kept them for long enough, I don't know, was it like 8 hours or 4 hours a day, then once you took these glasses off, with your normal eyes, you could see the reality reversed. So it's kind of like that, working with all these materials so closely, and I was actually, confined in my small studio, and surrounded with all these clutters, and all I had in my mind is to find a given object which will resemble what I want to do at the given time, which was like a street or a whole building or whatever. So then, walking around London or any other city, I would be like, I could do this building using, Gillette boxes, or, a toy from Matchbox or something.
Great. Any other questions? I see a hand up. Yeah.
Yeah, good question. I love sci-fi. I read books, comic books. It used to be my number one comic book when I was younger. And sci-fi movies, I'm fascinated by that. So obviously, I am trying to be original. And in a way, these stories they're creating themselves in my head as I'm working on the project. It usually takes me a very long time to finish a given piece. Therefore, I have lots of time to think, to watch lots of movies in the meantime. So my inspiration comes from many places, and sci-fi is definitely one of them.
Yeah, I got a question, but I'm not quite sure how to phrase it, Oscar. What crossed my mind is I absolutely love your work, and I'm aware of how it's totally inspired from the space age, which I'm also in love with. But I'm also aware that culturally there's been a big rejection of that space age by a lot of people, partly because they see it as being incredibly wasteful. Because the ultimate symbol of wastefulness obviously is a rocket, because up it goes, costs millions of pounds, it's gone 5 minutes later, it can't be used again. So most environmentally friendly things seem to fit in with a very kind of tight aesthetic that everybody expects things to be in shades of green and brown and look natural. And here's Oskar come along, and he still wants to create the space age, So you must have some thoughts about that kind of aesthetic contradiction you're playing with.
I disagree on both.
Yes.
So,
I agree with you, but I just wanted to throw up this thing.
Well, the sci-fi and the space race comes back a lot, whether we like it or not. So the wasteful rocket, in my opinion, it's not that wasteful because we are exploring space. We are trying to figure out, through actually space technologies, we are bringing back these technologies to Earth, and we are improving our life on Earth. There has been so many inventions. Don't ask me, Google it. And the other one, why something, why something green has to be green?
Yeah. I think that too, so I just wondered how you thought about it.
I think that's such an interesting question that you put forward. And I actually agree with your answer, and I see your point, and I see yours as to...
Maybe one more to that. So, of course, we as adults here, we have to act on our planet, but it's very, very, very important to seed that passion to the next generation, to young people. And how else would you excite them if not with, superheroes and rockets, wasteful rockets?
But also that quest to understand the space is actually ultimately a question about who are we?
I'm so glad you say that, because I totally believe that too.
It's the most intimate question that you can ask as a human being, and it's expressed through that search for what's out there. But I see another hand, and then we take that question, and then we probably move on to the last speaker, I think. Yeah.
It's kind of relating to what you were saying just before about you see a building and you think it's making some like bones or boxes or whatever. I mean, really wonderful project, but I'm curious to see or ask you if the next steps could be potentially applying this into something that was more practical, so actually building buildings or houses or things that we could actually use. I'm not saying that art is not useful, of course it is, on so many levels, but logistically speaking, is that something that you've thought about, creating architecture with this?
Okay. Well, I'm not an architect, and I don't think I would, or anyone would be able to live in one of these cities. I would be petrified. However, perhaps, and just perhaps, a younger generation could, get inspired. Someone who's right now 12-year-old can come to my show and go like, wow, what's that? I love this building, or what a concept. Because I'm also trying to get across with some concepts when I'm building that. Meaning, when I'm building a little bridge between two buildings, I'm thinking okay, why this bridge is on this floor, not on that floor? And maybe, how about retractable bridge or foldable or something? That's where we're getting into kinetics. Anyway, if I had more studio space and more money, I would build bigger objects for sure, and maybe they would start, being a little bit more practical than just beautiful and thoughtful.
And there have been machines already developed, 3D printing, huge ones, that actually are, for building houses. And I think I saw a video recently of one actually building a house within a day with reclaimed kind of material based. It was fascinating to watch. Just Google it, as Oskar said.
But I don't mean that kind of rebuilding. I mean, have you seen these people that use empty plastic bottles and they just fill them with mud and then they create walls with them and they create
Oh yes, there's a couple of
rubbish basically.
Yeah, there's quite a few projects like that going on. I know one in Zimbabwe actually. I don't remember the name of the project, but yeah.
You can do it all over the world. It's just an empty plastic bottle and you fill it up with sand and you can build anything you want.
Yeah, and it looks quite cool as well actually. Yeah.
No, but in terms of houses, you can do anything you want.
I'm just wondering if maybe that could be an idea for collaboration, bring in your artistic design and your ideas with something with this kind of art. I
Bring it on.
Brilliant. Well, Oskar, thank you very much.
Thank
Please, an applause to you.